We're talking politics 2.0 with Thunder Bay Rainy River NDP candidate Yuk-Sem Won, who was just nominated this week. It's James with Net News Ledger. Joining us is the newly nominated candidate for Thunder Bay Rainy River, Yuk-Sem Won. Welcome back.
Thank you, James. It's absolutely a pleasure to be back.
This has been probably an interesting nomination meeting. Instead of a gathering in a hall and a lot of cheering and noise and speeches, it was virtual last night.
It was virtual. It's so thank goodness that we can still have these methods of contact and get to see each other. But I tell you, just because it was virtual doesn't mean that there wasn't a lot of energy, and we had guest speakers from the MPs across the north. Jagmeet sent in, a video because he wasn't able to be there. We had MPPs from across Northern Ontario and supporters. Like, it was fantastic. So the hoopla and the cheering were definitely there.
Now, as we move forward, we're looking right now, here in Thunder Bay, we're watching the COVID numbers. Today's the first day where there's been 0 new cases reported. It looks, like the lights at the end of the tunnel isn't another train, but a lot of people are feeling really unsure. And as we move to, what could be an election, but might not be an election, we don't know. You've been nominated. How would you go forward campaigning if an election were called on the budget, for example?
So, one of the things is, we've had that in mind, I think, since the beginning of the pandemic. One of the things we know with a minority government, that there's always that potential that it's not going to wait until 2023 when the natural election time comes. And in the pandemic, we've seen that by-elections have been called, provincial elections have been called, and it's just a matter of having that, people know what the parties stand for. They more or less know who the candidates are and what they represent. So luckily, it's just supporting that, I think, in the virtual environment and making sure that we stay as safe as we can. There's a couple of bills right now in government that are looking at extending access for voting times, things like that. I think we saw in the States when their elections happened that, the importance of mail-in ballots, of advance voting, things like that really make a difference. Campaigning for us, the NDP message is clear. It hasn't changed very much since 2019 because those issues are still there. The boil water advisories, the pharmacare, dental care, the access to clean drinking water, the climate crisis, those issues are still there. So they haven't changed. So I think campaigning, even in a pandemic right now, is going to be just about getting the message out. And hopefully it won't happen during the pandemic. It'll be an election about the recovery. And that has to be about support for small businesses and looking at those cracks that happened during the pandemic with the inequities, like how marginalized communities have been so impacted. I think that's what's going to be the big thing is, all right, how do we now have a government that can be strong in the recovery instead of just in the crisis?
It's an interesting one because we've been having a discussion with our Thunder Bay with John Pateman from the Thunder Bay Public Library. And here in Thunder Bay, the library has become the living room for some of the people who are most impacted, and become a one-stop shop. And with the lockdown, it's closed, and we've watched the vulnerable in our society really, really suffer, and that's traditionally been an area where the NDP has had a lot of focus on, if as the tide comes in, if it lifts up everyone, the most vulnerable will be protected the most. And, that's been what I've been seeing in a lot of ways. We've had some real issues in Thunder Bay that we've seen, the huge outbreak of COVID-19 from the jail and in the homeless population. And thankfully, the health unit has worked hard to get that under control.
Yeah, for sure. Like, one of the things I think that we see and that we know and we hold true with New Democrats is, you know what, we cannot say that we're this great society and we're this great country, or even here in Thunder Bay that we're this great city, when we know that underneath all that the pretty words and pretty sights, that there are these issues. And in order to advance as a society, we have to do that together, and that has to include how we treat our vulnerable populations, you know, how we treat each other. And that's the core focus, is everyday people and how we do that together. So in order to advance and make sure that everybody's taken care of, we have to reach out and take care of everybody and make sure that those who are less fortunate or in more trouble are taken care of. So that's, you know, that's always been our focus. And I think that throughout the pandemic, well, I'm hoping that people will see that the importance of that social justice equity lens is very important to have in government. It's not all about big business and buyouts and pipelines. It's about the people. And the federal government really has to, well, all levels of government, like the impact of the federal, the provincial, even municipal, that focus on everyone being safe and moving forward together is so important.
One of the things that, you know, has been a constant is how we're treating each other. And on Saturday, I took advantage of a slightly warmer day. A nephew, my partner, and I went to downtown Fort William to take some pictures. We were on our bikes, and we watched a senior leaving Cam River Park get attacked. And that piece has literally gone viral on social media. There's over 120,000 plus people have engaged with that post in a city with a population of 109. You know, when I look at our city, we've got work to do.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And it's not something that we can just gloss over anymore. Like, people are seeing that, you know, there are those cracks in our society, be it in Thunder Bay or in Canada. We're seeing, you know, that the racism come to light. When people are suffering, I think that all of a sudden it's heightened. Everybody's frustrated and impacted, and then all of that, you know, balls up. They don't have the same supports that they usually have. They don't have same access to things, and that's creating this I don't know, ball of anxiety and hate that all of a sudden has just, you know, been. I think it's shining a light on it and giving it more voice. Like, we're seeing the anti-Asian racism, yes, the oppression, you know, the cracks in access for First Nation communities, all of these things that are all of a sudden just, I don't know, kind of getting a foothold, and it's shameful, and we need to do more. But in order to do that, I think we need to invest in social services and social support. And you're absolutely right. When we're talking about the pandemic, one of the things is, you know, other than wash your hands, wear a mask, and stay 6 feet apart. But one of the things that we've seen over and over, be kind, take care of one another. We're doing this for others, not only for ourselves. And that idea of taking action ourselves for others, I think, is something that we need to remember and keep on going once we're through the pandemic.
I think that's an excellent statement. As the campaign ramps up, we're going to want to be talking more and more frequently. You know, we're using a lot of the Zoom and the new technology and making things work. What message would you want to share with people in Thunder Bay, Rainy River?
I think our message is that of hope. And when we talk about the federal government, we've seen the importance over the past 15 months of the people that are there, the messages that they bring, the voices that they have make a difference. In Thunder Bay, Rainy River, you know, we need to have that voice. We need to have someone who's fighting for everyday people, not just what's interesting or what's convenient to them. You know, it's about taking the issues making them important, bringing that attention to them in order to get movement, action, and be able to bring that information forward. So my message over the next, well, anytime from 1 to 2 more years there is going to be, it's about everyday people and improving their lives, because the NDP have shown over the pandemic that the voices that are there matter to be able to really move forward some of the hot ticket items, right? When it started, it was about, do we provide that support for individuals? So we got that CERB, and instead of being $1,000, they moved it up to $2,000. So it's a livable wage, benefit that until people can get back on their feet. The time extensions, the wage subsidies for businesses. It's always about, I find that the Liberals have really been about doing the bare minimum just to get, by and make people not complain too much. It's all about being that middle ground. And the NDP have been able to push and say, no, we need better for the people. Whatever is going to be better for the people, that's what we're going to push for. So our message is that, and my message is I want to be part of that voice that brings forth Thunder Bay Rainy River, that push, because we need the government to understand we're here and that we need support and that their decisions impact us.
Thank you very much. And I'm sure we're going to be talking a lot as we go forward.
Fantastic. Thank you.
To keep up to date, you have to subscribe. You have to hit that like button and hit the notification to stay in touch.